EVO. Welcome back to the Devil's Ledger for the week of June 30th, 2026. This is your weekly roundup of everything strange and sinister, mysterious, just plain fascinating happening across the EVO creative universe. But before we get started, I'd like to take just a moment to say thank you. For the past several weeks, America has been welcoming the world for the greatest sporting event on the planet, the FIFA World Cup. And from every corner of this country, we've seen story after story of kindness, hospitality, people simply being good to each other. And at a time when headlines often focus on how divided we are, it's been refreshing to remember who we are. The volunteers, the host cities, the fans opening their homes, restaurants, and neighborhoods to visitors from around the globe. It's been really incredible to watch. And in many respects, there's a reason people still dream about coming here. And no, it's not just because we invented ranch dressing. Whatever it is, let's keep it rolling. Now, we begin as we always do, with the creepiest thing I heard this week. Every city has a ghost story. Most are little more than campfire tales passed from one generation to the next. They're fun to tell, impossible to prove, and usually fade with time. But every now and then, an entire city treats a ghost story like an appointment. This past Saturday night, June 27th, people gathered in Montreal's historic Griffintown neighborhood, not because a band was playing or because there was a street festival. They came because they were waiting for a ghost. Her name was Mary Gallagher. On June 27, 1879, Gallagher, an Irish immigrant and sex worker, was brutally murdered and decapitated during a drunken altercation inside a small house on the corner of William and Murray Streets. Her accused killer, Susan Kennedy, was arrested, convicted, and eventually imprisoned. The murder itself is well documented. What happened afterward depends on who you ask. According to one of Canada's oldest urban legends, Mary never left Griffintown. For nearly a century and a half, locals have insisted that every 7 years, on the anniversary of her death, the headless ghost of Mary Gallagher returns to the neighborhood, searching for the head she lost that summer night. The tradition became so deeply woven into Montreal's folklore that people still gather every 7 years to see if she's going to show up. Now, before you roll your eyes and dismiss the whole thing, consider this. Ghost hunters showed up, historians showed up, storytellers showed up, families showed up. There were ghost walks, paranormal investigations, candlelight vigils, even an actress portraying Mary herself, wandering the streets where the real woman spent her final hours. Not because everyone believed a ghost would appear, but because everyone agreed the story deserved to be remembered. And I love that. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, folklore has a way of preserving history that textbooks often don't. Long after buildings disappear and neighborhoods change beyond recognition, stories keep people alive. Griffintown today is filled with glass condominiums, cafes, and modern office buildings. The Montreal of 1879 is almost completely gone. But once every 7 years, people stop. They look down a quiet street, and for just a moment, they wonder if a woman murdered nearly 150 years ago is still walking those same cobblestones, searching for something that she never found. I don't know if Headless Mary exists, but I do know this. Any ghost story that can survive 147 years has already become immortal. And that is the creepiest thing that I heard this week. On with the show. On The Devil Within, our Campfire Files series continues with a truly strange and weirdly believable case involving what appeared to be nothing more than an old board game left behind in an Airbnb cabin. Harmless enough, right? Until you realize that the freaking board game is actually a Ouija board. Now, we all have our Ouija board stories. I do. Most of us probably either did it ourselves or know someone who swears that something happened after using one. But this story's different, right? It's not loud scary. It's believable scary. 4 college friends, 1 board game left behind, and 1 innocent question. And a weekend that slowly slips from curiosity into something that none of them can explain. If you've ever stayed in a rental cabin, you may think twice before opening the game cupboard. That's this week on The Devil Within. On Criminal Mischief, Carolyn is keeping this week's case under wraps, which means one of two things. Either she's sweating a major production deadline, maybe, or this week's story is so disturbing she doesn't want any of us sleeping before we hear it. Knowing Carolyn, I'm leaning toward probably both. Find out this week on Criminal Mischief. On The Slippery, how does a man convince some of the world's most powerful people that he was recruited by the CIA at just 16 years old? Enter Gaurav Srivastava. Armed with an elaborate intelligence backstory, Srivastava moved effortlessly through international business circles, building what appeared to be a private security empire worthy of a Hollywood thriller. But his real ambitions weren't on the battlefield. They were in the global oil trade. This week on The Slippery, Scott Eldridge and Nancy Moscatello untangle the astonishing web surrounding a man who rubbed elbows with politicians, received congratulations from John Legend, shook hands with presidents, earned the trust of international energy executives, and allegedly walked away with an extraordinary fortune. It's espionage without the espionage. Or maybe just enough of it. Don't miss The Slippery, only on the EVO Creative Network. On Forever Young, doctors John Lakey and Payman Danielpour, the Beverly Hills plastic surgeons and longevity experts trusted by celebrities and professional athletes from around the world, take a fascinating look into the future of regenerative medicine. This week, they're diving into one of the fastest moving areas in modern healthcare: stem cells. Where's the science today? What's legitimate? What's hype? And what might medicine look like just 10 years from now? If you're not already following Forever Young, you really should be. Available wherever you get your podcasts. And finally, this week in horror. Yes, I'm a little late to the party, but Scary Movie is back. More than 2 decades after the original became a comedy classic, the Wayans family has returned with a 6th installment that reunites Cindy and Brenda, Ray, Shorty, and the rest of the gang for another round of horror parody. This time, nothing is off limits as they spoof everything from legacy horror franchises to modern psychological horror to the reboot culture that seems determined to reboot absolutely everything. If you grew up quoting the originals, you're going to have a good time. And that's it for this week. Good luck to the United States men's national team as they head into the knockout stage. An entire nation is behind you and will be cheering every step of the way. Until next week, we'll catch up with you somewhere across the EVO universe. The Devil's Ledger is an EVO production recorded live at Bel Air Studios in Los Angeles, California. For The Devil's Ledger, I'm your writer and host, Brandon Morgan.